So I wish we got these kind of turnouts for the commission meeting, you know? This is like not so exciting, you know? So I guess when we get a hot topic, it's great to see folks come out of the community and see what's going on. So this workshop, Claudia, our planning and zoning director, is going to run this workshop. And basically, we passed a short-term rental ordinance recently, and there's been a lot of questions about, you know, how we're going to enforce it, you know, what it entails. And Claudia has all the answers. And so, I'm glad to see as many folks here as there are, because this has been a contentious issue locally, and I think that I think we have an ordinance that kind of that balances that out. And by the way, I'm the mayor. I'm Bud Scholl, and this is our city commission. We got Commissioners Fetch and Larissa, Vice Mayor Dana Goldman, and Commissioner Jeanette Gatto. And so we appreciate everybody coming, and we appreciate y'all holding on a few minutes. And we got the overflow next door, and I think it's up on the TV, so we're ready to go. Claudia. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. As Mayor said, my name is Claudia Hasban. I'm the Planning and Zoning Director. And I'm going to provide this workshop. Basically, this workshop is an informational workshop. It's to give you an overbroad view of the ordinance that the City Commission passed. But before I started, can we do some housekeeping? Can you put your cell phone in silent, please? And also, we have some boards in the back, so if you have questions or suggestions and you don't have time, we don't have time to over, please go down and write them up. And also, at the end of the presentation, we will be taking questions, and please talk to the microphone, so somebody will be walking around with a microphone. Okay, so thank you again for coming, workshop. This workshop and the ordinance is basically a license for condominiums and apartments that they're doing short-term vacation rentals. So basically, why we are here. The short-term rental vacation started a couple of years ago, nationwide. And we are here at this moment because as you, as residents and community, you want to maintain your quality of life. So we figured out that condos, they weren't regulating themselves, and we needed to step in to actually help them regulate the short-term rentals. And also, in the other aspect is, if you're an investor, if you are basically putting your, time and money into those units, you want to maintain the community that you have actually. So your investment will have a return. The community will be maintained beautifully as it is today. So what is a short-term rental? Maybe people over here in the room, we have the whole spectrum. You know what a short-term rental is, or maybe you don't know. So a short-term rental, it is a unit or a part of the unit that you rent for less than 6 months. So if you have your unit rented for more than 6 months, that is not a short-term rental. But everything less than that, you will need to register with the city for your short-term vacation rental. Also, there is some language in the ordinance that we want to explain you. So basically, you as a property owner, or you can assign a responsible party, okay? And that responsible party, it has to be an individual, not a real estate company, not a property management company. It has to be a person that it can be reached 24/7. It is in a close proximity of the units. So if it's any problem, that person actually can help us to solve that situation right away. If your responsible party changes, you need to notify us and do the change. Over here, there is a copy. You can see it very well. It is an affidavit. Most of you have handouts, and basically in those packages, you have a copy of the ordinance, you have a copy of the draft application, you have also a copy of the flow chart that is showing this process, and also you have some contact information for the external agencies. So who is required to obtain this license? Basically, the property owner of that unit is the ultimate responsible to obtain that license. But as I mentioned before, you can designate a responsible party to do that for you. But you, as a property owner, will have to designate it. So we will ask for an affidavit, a power of attorney, if you're not present physically over here, that it can be sent to that person. And also, very important, who is required? A separate license, city license, is required for each unit that you're renting out, okay? We know that there are other external agencies that they do different things, but for the city of Sunny Isles Beach, you need a license per each unit that you're renting out. Who is allowed to apply? Again, we go back. Property owners is the ultimate responsible. They will be allowed. But we know that we have some investors in the city, so we allow responsible parties to also apply, again, with the designation of the property owner. So all the responsibility ultimate falls into the property owner, but we have that secondary person, responsible party that can do the registration as well. Also, we have over the documents that you have received our contact information. As the mayor mentioned at the beginning, the planning and zoning of the city will be starting this program. So you are seeing the department, and I'm going to introduce my rest of the department whenever they get here. But over here is our phone number and our email address, and you can reach to us. The responsible party and owner responsibilities. So it's very important, and that is our goal. It is to have a responsible person in charge of that unit 24/7. So that person has to be available 24/7. Your responsible party can be the property owner. You don't have to have a responsible party. You as a property owner can be, but you need to be available 24/7. You need to be able to get to respond actually within an hour that we receive a call from police department or we have an issue in that unit. You need to keep also a list of all the guests that you're receiving in your property. You need, of course, maintain your property, and we might conduct inspections from time to time, so we will be reaching out to you or to your responsible party. Over here, it is the registration checklist. I'm going to go over 3 very important topics, but in the copies that you have also the checklist that we can go over one by one. But I'm going to be talking about the 3 most important documents that you need to prepare, and basically we're going to give you this time from now to October 1st when the registration begins. This is also important. It is the short-term vacation rental license fees. So with the city of Sunny Isles Beach, annually, the first time, you will pay $210 per unit, okay? And $200 for the next year. Also, there is a late fee if you are not registered by October 1st of $50. And again, all of this applies per unit. So these are the 3 most important documents that you need to provide us. It is, first of all, your license from the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. The DBPR, how they call it, it is an state government agency. And over here, we're going to give you a screenshot of the page, but they're very helpful. You can get it online. You can go to their website and find all the information that you need. Since most of our units are units with balconies, the department also requires an inspection for balconies. So you're going to have to go through their process, and that's why we are here. This is informational. Some of you might not have this license, but you have from now to October to obtain all these licenses. All the information is here from the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. And here is their balcony inspection. So this is how their forms look, where you can get it. You have their website on your packages, so you have all the contact information. The other department that you need to contact is the Department of Florida, the Florida Department of Revenue. You need to get registered with the Department of Revenue. You need to pay your taxes, you're due if you're doing this, to the Department of Revenue. You need to get a registration. They will give you an account, and then you will be paying your fees, your taxes, as they require. Over here, this is the website. You will see what are the forms that you need to fill out to get your registration. This is the application that they have, and they will have the information. And then the last one of the 3, it is Miami-Dade tax collector. Again, Miami-Dade County, also you need to remit your taxes to Miami-Dade County. You can contact them by mail. There is an email address as well and a phone number that we're providing you. This is the form that you need to fill out. Here's the contact information. So again, those are the 3 most important licenses and places where you're going to have to go. Florida Business of Professional Regulations, the Department of Revenue, and Miami-Dade County Tax Collector's Office. And you need to do those registrations. Another important topic of this ordinance is basically we are capping the occupancy of these units, okay? It is 2 persons per room maximum plus 2 persons. So meaning, I have 1-bedroom apartment. I can have up to 4 people in my unit because in 1 bedroom I can place 2 people, and in the additional unit I can have another 2 people. So if 1-bedroom unit I can have 4 people, and we exclude the children. But let's say I have a 5-bedroom unit, that will be the only type of unit that I can have the maximum occupancy of 12 people per unit. So in order for you to have more people, you need to have more bedrooms, of course. We cross-examine our processes, and basically if your unit has a code enforcement violation open, you won't be able to get your short-term rental vacation license, okay? So if you have any problems already on your units, you won't be able to obtain one until you solve those issues with code enforcement. Penalties, we do have penalties because we want to bring everybody aboard with this process. So the first offense is $1,000, second offense $2,500, third offense $2,500 plus 1 year suspension of the license. We also, if you refuse or if you provide us false information, of course we're going to revoke it, the license. Okay, this is very important. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we are here to provide you information for you to give us questions, suggestions, comments, because the registration starts in October 1st. Your licenses will go by fiscal year. That is what they call it. So it will run from October 1st to September 30th. People that they have businesses, they understand this, what is a fiscal year, because their business license also run by fiscal year. So it's October 1st to September 30th. This October, you can come to the city or you can go to our website and you can start your registration. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, or if you need help, contact us in the phone number and the email, or email us the questions, and we'll be able to help you out through this process. The enforcement of the short-term rentals, it will start in December 1st. What that means is basically, if you are running a short-term rental and you don't get registered by October 1st, and we are now in December 15, and we are able to identify your units, you will have a violation. We will send a letter out to you saying we identified your unit, we figured out that you're doing it, and you are not registered with us. So then it will trigger the enforcement of this issue. So we have received a lot of comments and complaints that they're saying, my neighbor is doing a short-term rental. Right now, we are in an educational process. This is a grace period that the commission gave us actually to implement this process. Okay? So right now, we cannot enforce the ordinance until we get to that point. We have to give them a chance to register, a chance to obtain all the documents, and then we'll start enforcement. And basically, this is the flow chart. It's just to wrap everything that we have said already. Today, July 26th, we are here for the workshop. What do I need to do? You need to go to all these external agencies to get it. But if you have all these documents, we ask you to be patient. October 1st will come, and then you can start the registration. After you register, you will be good for another year to renew your licenses. So right now it's time for questions. So we thank you again to be here, and the microphone will be running around in a second. So if anybody has questions, comments?
What's going to stop?
Can you hold on for the microphone? Thank you. Oh, okay. Do you mind if you line up on this side so we can actually bring the microphone to this? So if you can walk to the mic, that will be helpful. Thank you so much.
Claudia, just one thing we want everybody to know, this PowerPoint will be available on the website after tonight, so if you didn't get pictures or you want that information, it will be available on our website.
Thank you.
What's going to stop somebody from doing a lease for 6 months and 1 day?
That becomes not a short-term rental. So if you do 6 months and 1 day, that is not basically, that doesn't follow the short-term rental license. That is a long-term lease.
Okay. And what happens to the building, the condo? What type of, what do they have to do, the association? Are they responsible for anything?
In the checklist that we mentioned, one of the requirements is that your condo gives you a letter so you can apply with us, or you can bring us a copy of your bylaws showing that you're allowed to do short-term rental, basically, for a month, for less than a month, for less than 2 months, depending on their bylaws. Different bylaws, different condos are different bylaws. So yes, the condominium will have to allow you to do the short-term rentals, basically.
Thank you very much for this workshop. My name is Felix. I'm on board of directors of Winston Towers 100, Felix Kisner. So we know that it's no secret that sometimes we have short-term rentals in those buildings which are not allowed to have short-term rentals. And some residents complain. Will this law be applied at all to those buildings where perhaps you have a very lax board of directors and there's that complaint, or will this law be used for that as well, or just for those which are in the status of the building itself? I know you made a point before that first the board has to control these things. This is like the second level of protection for people's quality of life. But can this law be used in those buildings where there's a very lax control and there are short-term rentals and they're doing underground or hidden?
Basically, every single unit that is doing short-term rentals, less than 6 months, it has to have a license, okay? So whenever enforcement begins, if we have a relaxed condo board or not, they will have to be registered. So in that sense, I say that yes, those people, they will have to be registered regardless of what kind of condominium association they have.
So if you catch an Airbnb, for example,
Yes.
a condo that's even in the building that doesn't allow short-term rentals, will you still go after them with this law?
No, if their bylaws doesn't allow it, we
Yeah.
cannot register them.
Okay, got you. That's what I
Yeah,
wanted to know.
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
One point to clarify then, okay? We have an ordinance, okay, in place that we basically are regulating short-term rentals. But if your condo bylaws is more restrictive than the ordinance, your bylaws supersede our ordinance. So if your bylaw says that you cannot rent for less than 6 months, basically we cannot have short-term rentals in that building, because in your bylaws will be defined that frequency or that timing, and we won't be able to allow you even though we have an ordinance. So always keep in mind your bylaws supersedes our ordinance. So get familiar with your bylaws.
Hi, Claudia. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things, because you just said that you wouldn't register them if in their bylaws it doesn't allow short-term rentals. But I think the question was, if their bylaws don't allow short-term rentals, but they're still doing short-term rentals, will you guys enforce the penalties?
We will
Yes,
will
yes.
enforce the penalty only, remember, keep in mind, after December 1st, though.
And
Yeah.
you also mentioned that anything less than 6 months is a short-term rental and anything more than 6 months is not a short-term rental.
Correct.
What if it's exactly 6 months?
6 months is, exactly, 6 months is a short-term rental.
Yeah, it's
Right,
six-
exactly.
Thank you. for
6 months
clarifying.
and a day
A
is the
day,
cut, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question, though, yeah.
Hello, good evening. My name is Alex Lama with Winston Towers 300. I'm in the board. I'm the treasurer there. Yeah, going back to the point of enforcement, that's, I think, where the key lies. Obviously, I live in a building where we don't allow short-term rentals. We only allow rentals for 1 year. no less than that. But I would like to see some cooperation between the buildings and the city, and have the city really be tough on those, those penalties.
That's why we're here for.
Yeah,
So
okay.
this is the reason why the workshop is. And basically, I wanted to introduce and thank also Christine Lerner. She's working with us also, and Jennifer Lu Chong. So basically, these are going to be the faces that you're going to have to be dealing with for short-term rentals. So please, if you have any questions, we're here to help you. So work with us. If you get the information and we can help you to stop because your bylaws doesn't allow it, we will help you. For all the tools that we have, we will provide it to you.
So let's say come December 2nd, and I know that there's an apartment that they're doing short-term rentals. I give you a call, I call your hotline, I put in a complaint, and you could enforce that? Or how would that work? Do we still have to go through the building works with the city? I'm just trying to understand the process a little bit.
Yes, we will have to identify the units. So we will have to work with you.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Come to the mic, please.
Just to clarify one more thing, the penalties, first offense, second offense, does that apply only to people that are registered and have a violation, such as more people in the unit than they're allowed, or not having their sign posted? Or does it also apply if you're not registered, but you're still doing short-term rental?
Correct, yes.
The same penalty for
The
both?
same, exactly. Any more questions?
I may have one clarification. You said that the registration starts October 1st, but you also said that if you're not registered by or renewed by October 1st, there was a $50 penalty. That penalty doesn't apply until December for the grace period?
That is for renewal only. So it will
Okay.
apply to you in September
2019. Okay,
Correct.
very good. Thank you.
So I'm Barbara Piquel. I live in Oceana. So a lot of people who live in Oceana say, I mean, I don't have proof of it, but they say that what happens commonly is that someone fills out a 6-month lease. Well, we're allowed to have leases that are 6 months or more.
Or more.
So they fill out a 6-month lease, and the family moves in, and they're usually from another country. So after 3 months, because often they can't stay more than 3 on their visa or whatever, or their insurance from their country, they simply stop paying and move out. But the owner then re-rents it to another, quote, 6-month resident, even though now it's only the 4th or 5th month. And this goes on and on and on with the same owner. So if someone calls Sunny Isles Beach Code Enforcement and says, this is going on at unit such and such, what would you be able to do about it?
We need to identify that unit.
Well, if they call and give you the unit number, then what?
That won't be enough. We need to prove it, okay? We need to prove that that unit is basically listing on Airbnb or any of these platforms, okay? Probably in the case that if they have a 6-month lease, we're gonna have to work with you and your property manager how to do it. But the most important thing is if they are advertising or listing their unit in any of these platforms, we have a contract with an outside consultant with a company, and they will be able to help us to find those units that they are listing their property on these platforms.
Are you going to be using a company that has software to look at all these advertisements?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So you would be able to find some of these on your own?
Correct. Yes.
Because if I go and look for the unit, sometimes I can figure out what
Right.
unit it is.
Right.
You know, if it's John Smith and he's registered a Miami-Dade County tax assessor, John Smith, and the reviews say, John was so good, and then you look at the photos, you go, oh yeah, that's got to be a high floor in Tower 2.
Correct.
But if it's an LLC, then I'll never figure out the
We'll
unit number.
be able to figure
But
it
you'll
out.
be
We
able
can
to
keep on
figure it out.
digging up into other records, Sunbiz and other agencies that we can, they're public records that we can search too. Yeah.
Okay, I thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Vizcarra. I live in Plaza of the Americas. I read the ordinance when it was being drafted, and I remember that.
Can we please keep it quiet, please? They're talking, please. Thank
I
you.
remember that units that registered had to identify the unit in some way, like post something. Is there something external that you would have to put on the door?
Yes.
Okay. Because- go ahead.
Whenever you register your unit, basically on October 1st, you will do your application, and you will get a piece of document that you will have to post on your property. So in that case, it is identifiable. It's identifiable.
Identifiable?
Thank you. So that you are registered already.
Okay, so for the neighbors who want to be proactive,
Correct.
they'll know that if there's not something on the door, that then not to be,
Correct.
called.
No, it wouldn't necessarily be on the outside of the door. No, it would, so, you're going to put it outside of the door? So-
It says outside or in the door. That's all.
Okay, yeah, that's news to me, but okay, I understand. Yeah, that one we got to figure out.
Do we have any more
Yeah, that's not
questions?
gonna work.
Yes?
Yeah.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go.
sorry.
Shh.
Good evening. My name is Slava Lerner. I'm listening and I'm boiling, basically. I came to visit my parents here in Sunny Isles, Florida. I ended up being, forgive me, in Sunny Isles, Venezuela. You're taking an issue which needs to be addressed with such a heavy hand. Not every homeowner is in violation, or even short rentals. I used to be on the board of directors for 6 years. We tried everything. But the moment we start taking away rights of the property owners to rent their property and regulate to the level, we end up being outside of the law of this country. There are easier approaches here. We need to regulate short terms, but not such a heavy hand. You're asking me to jump through the hoops. I came from Soviet Union in 1979. I did not have to surrender to Soviet authorities so many documents as you're requiring for me to get a license. What you're going to do, you're going to arouse a lot of people here, and they're going to vote you out next time. This is not the right way. The easier way would be to apply for a license for short-term rental, one time, apply for a year. And then if there are violations, you're already identifying people who do this voluntarily. Don't charge them so much money. And then you tighten control after the violators. But now,
Please wait for the microphone.
Yeah, let him
Please wait
finish.
for them.
Let him
Yeah.
finish.
no, the license should be valid for a year. I understand I'm already missed the boat because you already adopted this resolution, but I hope you listen. You can amend it. You need to identify people who rent. I came here with the idea of buying as a property. I'm not. And perhaps I'm not the only one because it's frankly devastating amount of exercise. Basically what you're saying, you don't want short-term period. That's your, but there is no way you can control it. You cannot enforce it. Gentlemen ask absolutely correct question.
Okay. So what-
Absolutely correct question. 6 months, I'm going to be signing leases for a year and allowing them to leave 2 weeks later. There is nothing you can do. Courts will not allow you to enforce anything because the lease, what if I break the lease which you give me in 2 weeks? This is not the way. The way to do this, you are concerned with the violators. You're concerned with noise. You're concerned with crime. Identify units who would wish to rent, give them a license to rent for a year. During 1 year, one-time license, and then control them. Here's another question to you. I have to live within an hour of my property. What if I'm sick? What if I'm drunk? What if police calls me? Police is there to take action. You just said to us that I have to be able to do something if police calls. No, when police calls, they're taking their own action. There is no need for me to be there when police calls. What do you expect me to do if I rent somebody and somebody gets drunk and breaks a window? Okay, long term or short term. What do you expect a homeowner to do if police calls? What if I'm hour and 10 minutes? What if I'm sick visiting my wife in a hospital? Those are restrictions which are, huh? You understand? Those are restrictions which are law-abiding citizens. I don't know. I'm still boiling.
Okay.
Folks,
It's not my
just to be
business.
clear,
Listen to me.
this isn't.
Everybody sitting
hold on,
here,
hold on.
everybody. I'll just tell you one thing. Living life abroad, and experienced Soviet Union and Venezuela, I can tell you that you can end up being a short-term landlord because nobody is assured that this will not, I don't need to rent.
Yes.
My parents are living there, I'm
Okay,
not here
but-
losing my business.
Right.
What I'm saying to you, I'm just simply protesting the draconian rules you're setting, and you cannot even explain. What do you expect me to do if I miss 1 hour drive
Excuse me,
to the property?
sir, so
Thank you.
this is not a debate, though, just to be clear. This is an informational session, so, okay, good, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next, yes. I'm sorry. There were no questions. There were no questions, so just,
The standard that you're trying to make us as short-term owners. Why are the standards enforced on owners of short-term rentals that are not in yearly leases? Say I rent my property for a year, I don't need to be
you
1
don't
hour
have to
away.
be registered, correct, exactly. If you rent by year, you basically are not a short-term rentals, you don't have to be registered.
Okay, now say I have 10 different properties for 10 different owners. Now I have a DBPR group license. That's not useful anymore because I need to break it down by owners now.
Only with the city. Only with the city you have to do one license per unit. But if in your group license identify all those 10 units, you can provide the same license for those 10 units. We just need to have that license that it covers those 10 units.
So who would be, say, the responsible party for collecting and remitting those taxes? Because I have a group license that all my owners approved, but you're requiring each owner to have a different sales collection, tax collection.
Right, each unit they have to have registration. But again, if you have a registration for that group, you're going to have to repeat for each license the same information if you have it per group. Yeah.
But there's no relationship between the owner, that's the one signing these papers,
How
and the
does-
company that's
right.
collecting and remitting taxes.
So how does the state identify those units? It is the same way that we have to identify those units.
The state does not require any identification of the units at the tax level. You are the ones who are now imposing that burden on us. So we would have to
Right.
break the 15 units that we're collecting into each owner account, and that's...
With the city, yes, the city says that for
So
each
no-
individual unit, it has to be a registration.
So now we need to get, property managers need to get 10 or 15 different licenses. We need to get 15
With
different
the city,
taxes.
yes, with the city.
But the documents you're requiring me ask for a tax number that's linked to an owner. That owner does not need to get their own tax if I'm the one collecting them and remitting them.
You can become the responsible party for that unit, and in that case, you will be able to remit those taxes and everything. So if the property owner allows you to be the responsible party, you can do it through that aspect.
But it's not me, it's my company. So you're,
The responsible party has to be you.
so I need to create an account on my name and collect and remit taxes now?
Not that case. We need to have your information responsible party. But if we see the correlation between your corporation and yourself, okay, we will be fine. But in that application, we have to have an individual, a phone number, a cell phone person that you're going to be the responsible. But of course, you can be under the umbrella of a corporation.
Same for the DBPR license, same for
Same
the sales
for-
tax?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
One more thing. You did not mention on the work group the insurance. I believe
Yes.
that's a must now. Some websites like Airbnb include their own liability insurance protection. How does that work?
Basically, all the units, if they're accepting guests, they need to have their liability insurance that it covers those guests. So if you didn't have a liability insurance, if your insurance doesn't cover, you need to include those guests into your liability insurance, into your home court costs.
But some websites actually include that for us. So how?
You need to provide us that information.
Okay.
Correct.
Is there any way that do you need different document numbers? Do you need, the
Yes,
originator?
we will work with you as we get to the registration. So we will know more of the process as we get closer to that.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Now, one last thing. For example, South Beach, when they're enforcing it, they give each property a different license number, like you're
Yes.
going to give us. And you're required to post that online on your ad. So that's an easy way to enforce things. Either the property is displaying
Yes.
online their...
Yes, we will work on that, and we saw it also that you're able to see on the website when you're listing that license number.
That's
Correct.
the easiest way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Claudia, if I may, Just a question to your question. If they are, I believe one of the requirements is that they have to provide you a copy of that rental agreement, which is the agreement between the property owner or responsible party and the Airbnb or the company that you're advertising with, or the individual guest like Claudia
The
is
rental agreement
renting.
between your guest and yourself as the property owner. You can submit a sample. We are not going to
Okay,
request you
so it's a
every
sample.
time that you rent
Okay.
that rental agreement, but a sample that you have between that guest and that property owner.
So but you need to list which agencies you are listed on, like Airbnb and
That's a
those.
different requirement, that those
Correct.
are separate. One is a sample of the registration, and another one is the listing of all the platform that you're using to advertise your units.
So that platform, then you could know if they have insurance coverage through that
Correct.
when they submit
Yes.
that. Okay. And just a quick note, if you're in the overflow room, please come in here to grab the microphone and ask a question. There's space available. Please come in.
Hi, good evening. My name is Wade Bryan. I've worked with multiple condominiums in and out of Sunny Isles Beach, and it's just a simple comment / question in regards to displaying the certificate that they do have their license. You said on the door or outside of it. Many condos have a uniform policy where they cannot have something like stand out. In that case, would they have signed up with their association, with their manager? Would it be on the front desk?
We will work with the condo board, because first of all, you're going to have to go to your condo board to get that letter to allow you. So we can work with them. Do you have it inside your door? Do you have it on a side wall? Or we will figure it out how it works better for everybody. Yeah.
Claudia, I have a question from the audience on the level of liability insurance. What is the financial level? 30,000, 50,000, 100,000?
We haven't get to that point, so we don't have a straight answer for you to tell you. We have it as a broad aspect. You need to have liability, but we don't have any thresholds. We'll have to work with city staff to figure that out. Yeah.
Hi, hello, my name is Ariel. I work for Luma Real Estate. We manage 4 properties that are on vacational rental. When I first applied for my condo, I need basically to get the Miami-Dade County taxes account and with the Florida Department of Revenue. We only list the units on Airbnb, and Airbnb has an agreement with the county and with the state for taxes. Whenever I tried to open an account, because my condo required it, they didn't want me to open an account because Airbnb paid for the taxes. In this case, what will happen?
2 things that could happen. One is that we're going to need a statement, a notarized statement from you saying that you're only listing on Airbnb. Because in that way, Airbnb is the only platform that does that. Okay. So, but if you're advertising your property in, HomeAway, FlipKey, et cetera, you will have to do both.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Eva Tovar. I live in Avila condominium, and I have a question. In the way you talk, look beautiful, but in the practice, it's not
very different.
It's not the same, because in my condominium, so many women they live alone, and now you are going to have beside your apartment a person you don't know, because they don't screening. They screening the owner when we buy the property. Mm-hmm. Now they come and you don't know. You know he's a terrorist. You know he's a criminal. No. That is my question. Answer my question, please.
We have a level of, yes, we have some levels of protection, if you want to call it that way, in the ordinance. So I see it as a very clear path. Unfortunately, we have 2 types of short-term rentals. People that hate short-term rentals and people that love short-term rentals, okay? So right now what we're trying to do is to manage and regulate those people that are doing it. And at this moment, by state law, we cannot prohibit short-term rentals. But we are able to ask that your responsible party, that your property owner, check if the people that they're renting to are sexual offenders, if human trafficking is occurring to the people that are renting those units. So we have some protections embedded into the ordinance. But as you said, we need to work with the property owners and the condominiums and the responsible parties to mitigate those aspects, and that don't happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So is this considered, this is a business now, right?
Yes, you're starting a business.
So what's going to, I thought the city, you cannot have a business in a condominium unit. So if I had an accounting business, can I run a business out of my unit?
You can operate a business out of your unit, yes.
But I thought you're not allowed to have anybody coming to your unit,
This is where the state regulation.
No, I'm talking
actually
Sunny Houses.
supersedes.
I know I've been dealing
Yes.
with Sunny Houses for a long time.
Right.
And you cannot have people come to your unit as a real business like that.
As
You
a-
can
as
run
a
a
thing,
business,
right.
but you actually have people coming to your unit with this. So isn't that open up
But
a
this
whole
is the
different
difference.
avenue of?
Yeah. This is the difference, and where actually we are a municipality and the state is here, and we are preempted of prohibiting basically for these people to actually rent out their unit.
No, I'm talking about, doesn't this open up a whole different area of businesses? Why can't I have another type of business and have people come to my apartment and I get the liability insurance and everything else?
That's correct. That's it.
But it's also it's on the association, by the way, to allow a business, because my association doesn't allow to have a business.
Right.
And that's fine. Yeah, and that's fine.
So now, because you're actually creating a business of this, it's.
Whenever you have that protection of your condo and your bylaws, if your bylaws doesn't allow it, we won't allow you to do it because we cannot. We cannot go against your bylaws. Right.
Howard, I'm Hans Alton, the city attorney. The city will regulate any form of business that operates in Sunny Isles Beach. With respect to short-term rental, the state has preempted local government from banning it. That's why, however, we can regulate it to mitigate those negative quality of life impacts.
Thank you. Yeah,
There you go.
Hi, two quick questions. Does it apply to condo hotels?
No, it does
If I
not.
own a condo hotel unit, I don't need
No.
to have all those licenses.
No, we have this type of hybrid buildings that they're called apartment hotels.
Okay.
And those are buildings that they are in transit. Okay, so basically, no, we don't regulate
Good.
those, and then
Okay, my second question is, what if I have a big apartment and I want to rent one room inside my apartment?
you can do that, yes.
Do I need a license for that?
Yes, you can. You have
But
to.
I need a license.
You have to, yes.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. What other city in Florida has the same rules?
We base it out of Miami-Dade County, but Key Biscayne, City of Fort Lauderdale, Surfside,
Miami Beach.
Miami Beach,
A lot worse.
a lot of municipalities. Basically,
All
we were one
start
of...
in October.
No. A lot of municipalities, they have this type of regulations, similar, it's not the same, long time ago.
How many condo in Sunny Isles have by law have a 6 months rental short-term agreement?
I'm sorry, what
How
was-
many buildings condo in Sunny Isles? They're
Short-term rentals?
allowed, yeah.
We don't know yet. We're in the
It's
process
a
of...
public information?
It is public information whenever we have available, yes.
Okay, for your opinion, when it will be available?
In a couple of months, probably,
I mean,
whenever we
like
start
a
the
real estate
registration.
agent, it's very important
Yeah.
for us.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Can you
Okay.
come to the mic, please? Thank you so much.
Simple question. You guys did the research before apply all that rules? Like, you look like don't even know how many buildings. Sunny Isles is not that big. I think You guys do some research before step forward, right?
We have a lot of buildings that do short-term rentals, but specifics to go by law, figure it out if that building allows it or not. We'll go through them. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Is there another question coming up, or?
I think we have two more
there
questions.
we are. All right, Carla.
My name is Carla Mast. I recently was looking for an Airbnb myself when I had to move out of my condo when it was being treated for termites. And I noticed many, many units in Intracoastal that were 2-bedroom units that had 2 sets of bunk beds in every bedroom and more bunk beds in the living room.
Yeah.
Are you going to proactively go after those units because they are clearly violating the occupancy limits?
Yes.
And you know, they don't advertise what unit number it is. So
right.
how are you going to figure out what units those are? Are you expecting the occupants of the building to turn them in, or are you going to proactively try to go after them?
We will definitely go after them and proactively figure it out, identify which are those units. Yes, definitely. I think we're going to take one more question after this one.
Two more.
Two more?
Yeah,
okay.
2 more.
Hi, I'm Ida Pak. I just have a clarification. I live in a building that we only allow 6-month and 1-day rentals. However, for many, many years, there has been a loophole in which people will sign a lease for 6 months and 1 day, and they stay 3 months and pay in a lump sum. Now, that, of course, is fine because they can't rent again, presumably. But that doesn't address the issue of having still people renting short term. So my question is, would you address this kind of issue?
We'll have to do that again. We have to
Yeah.
work with you. We will have to work
That's
with
it.
your property manager and to reach out to us and say, this is the unit that is causing trouble. I know that is signing a lease for 6 months and a day, but it's not doing that. And then we'll have to create a case to go after them. But we need to work with you. Correct. We'll start the process.
Yes. And we have a mechanism now, an infrastructure to deal with it.
Yeah.
But the building's the first line of defense. There's no question, because, you know, they know who's coming and going. So, yeah. Okay, last question.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Georgina Pineda. I'm property manager at King David. As you know, King David does allow short-term rental. About 50% of the building at present time is doing short-term rental. My question is, because a lot of owners asked me to be here present, those owners that are doing short-term rental, this is their vacation home. And most of them are in Europe or South America. I'm pretty sure they would not come here before October 1st. You said the owners are the one who has to get the license and then put a responsible party. As owners, individuals, how can they apply for the application if they're not in the country?
Yes.
It will be
Basically,
documents certified by their country?
They can submit their power of attorney, and in that case, the responsible party can apply for their licenses.
Okay.
Yes.
And in the instance where a corporation is the owner?
One of the manager or one of
Or the registered agent?
The registered agent.
Yeah, the managing member.
The manager of it, right.
Yeah, the
who will
managing
have to
member.
apply.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Claudia, great job.
Thank you,
Okay, Claudia stood up, so let's hear it for Claudia. I want to thank everybody for coming. And again, this isn't new. So just to be clear, most municipalities, we're actually very late in the game in actually enacting this type of legislation. Most municipalities in Dade County have had it for quite some time. The county's had it for quite some time. But again, we appreciate everybody coming. We appreciate everybody listening, and hopefully we've given enough clarity today that folks are clear on what they're going to have to do. So, as Claudia pointed out, The deck is on the website. The PowerPoint's on our website. So you can go there and get all the information that Claudia presented and all the contact information of all the other agencies that you're going to have to interact with. Thanks again.
Thank you.